Alright everyone, let's just spend one more video on the boot here, just to kind of get everything finalized before we move on to another part, okay? So the part that's kind of lacking a little bit of detail right now, you can see I've got it selected, it's the kind of the boot ears that I like referring to as. Okay, so what we could do here, we could just bump it up an extra subdivision level, but to be honest with you, this is the floppiest part of the boot, so if we have a look at some of our references here, you can sort of see that we're getting some very light creases. We're not getting like big sweeping heavy creases, so we can just kind of add in a few of these to kind of go along there, add a bit of flavor to it. So it wouldn't be anything more than just literally something like that. We're not going to make strokes per se, we're going to make kind of like recesses and whatnot, you know. We're just going to make little kind of delves. I want to say delves. Is delves the correct word? I don't know. I hear all these words, my brain somewhat remembers them or just invents them randomly and just kind of say, oh yeah, I'll use that word, that's fine. So I'm actually going to use my inflate brush instead, just to kind of more like upset the overall the overall surface of the floppy ear part of the boot. Okay, so it just looks a little bit inconsistent when you look at it from the side like that, and that's about the best that I would say we sort of go for. Anything too deliberate, I would say, would be a bit too much, you know. And if you're wondering about scratches and wear and tear and things like that, now you can obviously put them in, but I always find that if I put in particular kind of scratches now, they don't really line up with how they work in Substance Painter, so I like to leave the scratches and stuff like that for Substance Painter to handle now. Now, before Substance Painter existed, obviously, it would be alright to do it all in ZBrush and figure it out from there, but with Substance Painter being the way it is, I've always found it a little bit better. Unless it's like a major scrape or a scratch or a piece of damage, you know, then leave it up to Substance Painter to do the kind of wear and tear for you there. Okay, so just going around there, use your smooth brush. You can see I've just kind of created little dimples all the way around, just upsetting the surface and stopping it from looking entirely smooth. Okay, now we mentioned last time what we're going to do about the patterns on the boot, so kind of going a little bit away from the concept art entirely. I'm very much in love with these boots here, so I'm going to try and create this element here, and there's a couple of ways of doing it, to be honest with you. There's a way of sort of extracting it, which you can try as well, but I'm just going to go sort of see. I think I might actually go with the extraction method myself, but we'll see how the polygonal density works out as we start sculpting away. So let's solo this out and decide where we're going to have this pattern here. So I reckon maybe we should bring it back. It's kind of going to tuck into the boots there a little bit, so the heel. So it's going to come up and over the strap here. So that goes into some unknown area there, and it should more or less do the same thing on the other side. So let's just sort of check how that looks. And this is, again, it's not final because you can just, well, to be honest, you could just change this later on if you extract it. You can always use the pinch tool and change the trajectory of it ever so slightly, but it's always best to try and get it as accurate as you'd like it to the first time. Okay, let's swing that down there. Let's do a curve like that, that's a bit better. Now it still looks a bit low res because we're only dealing with 78,000 polys, which is a bit strange. Let's maybe, well, actually we could probably just do something with just this low polygon count, that's fine. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I don't, oops, that was a bit careless of me. I'm just going to make sure I don't go below the underside, the foot, because that's going to create complications I don't really want to deal with, something like that. And I notice I haven't done the whole foot because I'm going to fake it. Okay, I'm only going to raise this area up a little bit. I'm going to give it like an optical illusion, so to speak. So with the clay build-up brush, we'll lower its intensity a little bit. A little bit of a sacrilege move there, but that's fine for this particular purpose. And we're just going to do the clay build-up here. Okay, so like I said, we're just going to create a pseudo kind of effect, like there is a flap there. Okay. Or there is like a raised surface, I should say. Alright, and now before we do anything else, we can sort of smooth this if you like, but I reckon it's a good idea to come around now with said pinch tool mentioned earlier and just sort of try and pinch these corners whilst they're here now, so that ZBrush kind of gets the idea that we are wanting an edge here, so to speak. Okay. Right, and demask that, and you can see we've got an effect going on there. We can subdivide that again, and it's retained quite a bit of what we've done there, which is fine. That's what we want. Okay, you could argue that we could come down at subdivision level, smooth all this, but stay away from the edge for now because you want that edge somewhat intact. Okay, smooth that in there. Now with the higher subdivision level, we will have more freedom to kind of tighten this area up a little bit. So let's come in with one of my favorite brushes, the Dam Standard brush, and we will just sort of kind of gracefully, under very low intensity, gracefully just kind of etch in that extra line there. Okay, just kind of etch that in a little bit. Mask off any surrounding areas just so you don't affect them, because that can sometimes be a a casualty caught in the crossfire of this brush sometimes. Okay, and just come round and just really kind of dig into the line there created almost by the clay build-up brush. And you probably already guessed the next step, but it's to use the inverse of the Dam Standard brush just on the edge there, and just go around, give it a once over. Okay, something like that. And yes, it will pull a little bit on the edge you've just kind of scored in there, but that's fine because we are going to pinch all this up later, and that later is virtually now. Okay, so with the pinch brush, there we go. Now just be a bit careful about this, turn its intensity down just so that, you know, you kind of keep it in check and you're not running away with it. Sorry, it's not running away with your mesh, you're the one in control here. And just kind of, I'm kind of stippling my pen on the tablet. I'm not doing smooth strokes, I'm just stippling it around, and you can see there all it's doing is just bringing the two layers back together, essentially creating that nice formation there. Okay, now how does it look with everything all back together? There you go. Okay, so we've effectively created that very same pattern there without actually, well, without actually adding a new layer essentially. Now I've kind of failed a little bit over here. Okay, I haven't carried this pattern through enough, so what I can do is I can come in the Dam Standard brush and then just fake it a bit more with the edge like that. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's not an extra layer higher or anything like that. It's just the illusion of it. Okay, it's relative. So this layer is automatically higher than the other layer because of the Dam Standard brush. So it's just simply an illusion that you want there. Okay, it's not like we're actually making the actual boots where we're using a piece of leather to kind of cover the top. No, it's just a kind of illusion per se. Okay, and if you've got any kind of leftover bit from the clay build-up brush, you can trim dynamic that away, of course. But if you like the additions that the clay build-up brush has done, you can skip this part. You can, oops, hello Vest, nice to see you there. Is that your way of inadvertently telling me that it's been too long since we've worked on you? Well, don't worry, you'll get your time. You'll get your time. I'm not leaving you on to the last minute on purpose or anything like that. No. Why would you ever think that? Okay, and just because you've got the additional layer there, it's always a good measure just to come in and then just move that strap that we've got happening there above to compensate for the new kind of layer that we've just added in. Okay, it's up to you how thick you want to make that. I'll leave that up to you. That's personal discretion. Okay, and I think it's fine having it kind of wrap in like this. Ideally speaking, it would be two straps that kind of meet on one of the sides and clasp down. On this side here, obviously this strap kind of goes in, it tucks into one side of the boot there, that's fine. But to be honest with you guys, I'm not really going to kind of worry about the belts per se here, because these need to be reconstructed anyway, okay, in Maya. And in terms of the belt buckles and stuff like that, they're quite hard surface. We could create them in ZBrush, but it would be, I think, with particularly how my skill set work, it would take more time than it would be worth if we just did it in Maya. Okay, so I'm just going to leave, just as a disclaimer there, these lovely belt buckles and stuff like that, we'll kind of leave it for Maya to tackle. Okay, the only other thing I sort of want to see now, just I've neglected the heel quite a bit here, so you can see it's still on only 1600 polys. So let's come in here and we'll just sort of kind of trim dynamic this heel a bit. Let's bring the intensity down, just make it a bit flatter around the edge there. It's a bit lopsided here, so what we could do is, with this subtool selected, just make some final adjustments. Although you want to do that on the slowest subdivision level. Okay, you want it kind of level at the back. Okay. And then of course if you need to, adjust the heel. In fact, I think on the other side, yes, the heel needs adjusting. There we go. And actually the shoe needs adjusting. You could push that in a bit. There we go. Okay, and now this part here could just be further tucked into like that. There we go. That's a bit more uniformed looking. Okay. Right, okay. Okay, we've done the detailing of the boot now. I wouldn't call it finished just yet. Obviously, she's got no sole. She's got no kind of scoring lines around the sides of her shoe there. But at the moment, I'm going to call the boot done because I'd like to go and turn our attention now over to the gloves to sort of bring the gloves up to a higher level of fidelity so we can actually start getting a much stronger picture as to what she looks like. And silly ninny me, but of course, I went ahead and made this red shirt red. When actually, if you look back at the concept that I decided to kind of base it all off on, it's completely the wrong color. Excellent job, me. So I'm just gonna go change that. Let's go to, let's say create, what's it? Polypaint, colorize, texture, nope. Let's see, fill color. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Right, so it was meant to be black, so silly me, I went ahead and colored it the wrong color. But hey, it didn't look too bad. It didn't look too bad. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful about the boot there, guys. If you're wondering why there's no detail on the heel, it's because generally speaking there is no detail to be had on the heel. I want quite a tough heel. You can see here a lot of the heels there, they don't have much detail on there. Now if you're wondering about seams and things like that, again, that will come in as a final pass. We're still missing seams on the shirt and on the trouser and things like that. So yeah, we've got plenty of time to kind of tackle all that. I really want to turn our attention now over to the gloves in the next set of videos.